When I was 6 years old, my parents passed away in a car accident. I was taken in by my maternal grandmother and grew up under her care in the countryside, cultivating a small field. Although I was devastated and rarely went outside, my grandmother watched over me and took care of me patiently. We were poor, but thanks to her amiability, I managed to grow. We couldn't afford any toys, but I was content with just paper and colored pencils. I loved to draw. The rural scenery, the sunset over the sea, the starry night sky. I was never short of subjects. But the most enjoyable thing for me to draw was my grandmother. I'd never get bored of drawing her and continued it every day.
Wow, Bob, you're really good at drawing. I'm so happy you're making me look so beautiful.
Do you think I could be a painter when I grow up?
Of course, you'll become the #1 painter in America.
Her words sounded like magic to me, and before I knew it, I started dreaming of becoming an artist. But at the age of 17, during my junior year of high school, my grandmother passed away. She was in the hospital for just half a year. I was planning to attend an art school in New York, but due to financial reasons, I had decided to get a job. I wanted to work and ease my grandmother's burdens, but she was gone before I had the chance. While holding back my tears, I was sorting out her belongings. I found a box containing dozens of drawings I had made, which brought me to tears again. That's when I found a bank passbook in the box, with my name on it. When I opened it, I was shocked to see the balance, $20,000. What? $20,000? When did she? As I was holding the passbook, something fell out of it, a handwritten note from my grandmother.
Dear Bob, go to college. This is my last wish.
I broke down and cried out loud. I wondered how long it took her to save that amount. Thank you. I'm sorry, Grandma. Holding the passbook tightly, I continued to cry. Thanks to my grandmother, I was able to attend an art school in New York. I started living alone in a crummy apartment. My tuition could be covered by the money my grandmother left me, combined with a scholarship, but I had to earn my own living expenses. I found a well-paying night job at a bar. Being a country boy and not particularly affluent, I was laughed at by my seniors. It was hard to remember the names of the cocktails, but I enjoyed learning about the new world.
Hey, lady, don't just take stuff without asking.
The boss's voice echoed from the back alley. There was an old lady who had been picking up empty cans from the bar's trash can every night.
You're going to throw them away anyway, aren't you? So, what's the problem?
It's really annoying to have homeless people like you hanging around every night.
Who are you calling homeless? You saucy kid.
Excuse me.
I hurriedly stepped in between them. Hey, boss, it's fine. Just think of her as a garbage collector, okay? With a tisk, my boss went back to inside. With a sigh, I turned back to the old lady. What will you do if he hits you? Remember, loose lips sink ships.
Oh, you know such fancy phrases considering being a young man.
While thinking what a talkative lady she was, I helped her put the empty cans into a bag. Starting tomorrow, I'll collect these and leave them here for you every night, okay? Just take them quietly. The old lady stared at my face and said, "You're unusually kind for a young man these days." Her gentle, smiling face reminded me of my late grandmother, and a wave of nostalgia washed over me. From that day on, I started talking to the old lady every night. The boss wasn't too pleased, but I was a valuable worker who could work until the bar closed, so he turned a blind eye. Eventually, the old lady started to come during my break time. My co-workers laughed at me, saying, "Bob, you've got a peculiar fetish. Is she your type?" But talking with this old lady warmed my heart as it reminded me of my grandma. When I offered her canned coffee, the way she carefully held the can with her small, wrinkly hands, blowing on it gently to cool it down, was exactly like my grandmother.
So, are you going to become a painter in the future?
One day, after hearing about my past from me, the old lady asked me that question. I'd like to, but can I? It's still difficult with just a college degree.
What do you mean?
Everyone's studying abroad. I don't have that much money and flexibility, so at best, I could become an art teacher, I guess.
What's the use of giving up before you even try?
I laughed at her sharp words. You're right. I'm currently working on a painting for an exhibition. If I get a sponsor through that, my dream might come true.
That's the spirit. Good kids like you are blessed by God.
I felt a bit awkward being praised like I was a child. My break was about to end, so I waved to Maher and went back into the shop. During that time, apart from my classes and job, all my time was spent working on the painting I was planning to exhibit. I was drawing my grandmother standing in the nostalgic countryside scenery, but I felt like it was starting to resemble the old lady who collects cans. I guess it can't be helped that the image of the person I see in real life is starting to outweigh the image in my memory. But I didn't feel bad about it. Only when I was talking to the old lady in the unfamiliar city life of New York, my mind would become calm. Not a mommy's boy, but a granny's boy. Thinking that, I laughed to myself. The painting was completed in 3 months and successfully exhibited. I headed to work feeling refreshed and in high spirits. Friday nights were exceptionally busy, and I was finally able to take a break. As usual, when I went out the back door into the alley, the old lady was sitting on the ground. What happened? Are you feeling ill? As I squatted down to look at her face, she looked pale and was clutching her chest. Are you in pain? Are you okay? When I hugged her shoulder, she groaned and started to lean towards me. Boss, call an ambulance. I shouted from the back door, and the boss, looking annoyed, stuck his head out and said, "Are you stupid? Just ignore her." I got angry and shouted back, "What the hell are you talking about?" and then picked up the old lady and started to run. I could hear my boss yelling at me, but I ignored him. There should be a large general hospital nearby. With my legs, trained from living in North Dakota, I ran at full speed. Seeing me rushing into the hospital with the old lady on my back, a nurse ran towards us. She was immediately put on a stretcher and taken to the treatment room. Feeling relieved, I slumped down onto a chair in the waiting area. I was drenched, and the feeling of my shirt stuck to my back was disgusting. After sitting there for a while, a woman dressed in what looked like a receptionist's uniform approached me.
Are you a family member of the patient?
I shook my head when asked. No, she's just an acquaintance.
I see. Then we will contact her family.
The woman bowed with a smile and went back inside the counter. I don't even know the old lady's name. Does the old lady even have a family? A sense of unease started to well up inside me. It was hard to imagine that the old lady who seemed to be living off collecting cans had a family. By the way, who will pay for her treatment? I didn't even bring my wallet. In any case, I thought about going back home to get my wallet and stood up. At that moment, a nurse came out of the treatment room. How's the old lady?
She's fine. It seems like a minor episode. She's currently on N4 and sleeping.
I see, that's good. I let out a sigh of relief from the bottom of my heart. When I told her that I needed to go back to get my wallet, the nurse said that won't be necessary.
We've managed to contact her family, and her son will be here soon.
Really? I was taken aback. I had assumed she didn't have a family. If her son is coming, she should be okay, I think. With that thought in mind, I decided to go back to my workplace without visiting the sleeping old lady. After that, I was fired. Well, that was obvious. I repeatedly apologized to the furious store manager, but he didn't forgive me, so now I'm looking for a new part-time job. Because of being fired from the shop, I haven't seen that old lady since then. I thought about sneaking to meet her in the back alley, but finding a new part-time job was the priority now. After all, my livelihood is at stake. I searched for job vacancies online, but I couldn't find a good one. 2 weeks had passed since I got fired from the bar. As my class ended and I was getting ready to leave, my seminar professor was calling me loudly from the entrance of the lecture hall. Wondering what it was, I approached him.
Incredible, Bob.
In his excited state, the professor started patting my back energetically. What's going on? Feeling somewhat unnerved by his unusual beaming smile, usually he's so stern.
Your painting, the one you submitted to the exhibition. It was bought. And guess who bought it? The chairman of the Taylor Group.
What? I was utterly stunned. The Taylor Group is one of the top corporations in America. Their chairman bought my painting. I couldn't believe it.
And the purchase price was $100,000.
The professor whispered. I thought I was going to faint.
Apparently, he wants to meet you personally. We received a contact. You need to go to their headquarters next Sunday.
Are you sure?
Good for you, Bob. Good for you.
Despite the professor's almost tearful joy, the situation didn't seem real to me. This must be a dream. If not, it's a miracle. Unbelievably, the promised day arrived and I dressed in a formal suit, heading to the headquarters. As I was looking up at the huge open ceiling, a woman as beautiful as a movie star appeared and led me to the chairman's office on the top floor.
I've brought him here.
Please come in.
Swallowing hard, I entered the room. In the middle, there was a luxurious sofa with an elderly woman and a man in his 50s seated. As I approached, I saw my painting on what seemed to be a marble table. The woman slowly stood up and looked at me. You? I involuntarily pointed at the woman. The person smiling at me was the old who had been collecting cans.
Well, are you surprised?
The old lady laughed, seeming extremely pleased with the successful surprise. At what?
Sorry to startle you. Please have a seat.
Told by the man, I sat across from them. No matter how many times I looked, it was undoubtedly the old lady.
Let me introduce myself again. I'm Helen Taylor. I'm the chairman of the Taylor Group, believe it or not.
I'm her son, Dallas. I serve as the CEO.
I still couldn't find my words. The chairman? The cane-collecting old lady is the chairman of the Taylor Group.
We really appreciate you helping my mother. I apologize for the delay in expressing our gratitude.
The CEO bowed his head sincerely. Still, I couldn't believe what was happening. Feeling I had to say something, I spoke out the thing that had wanted to know. Why were you collecting cans? The chairman burst out laughing.
It must seem strange, right? I was a single woman raising 3 children amidst the chaos after World War II. I started a small shop with the money I earned from collecting cans, and that's the foundation of today's Taylor Group. So, can collecting is my lifestyle. I won't stop till I die.
No matter what I say, she won't listen. We're sorry if it caused you any inconvenience, Bob.
Oh, because of me collecting cans there, we were able to meet like this.
The chairman laughed again. Finally, I began to grasp the situation.
It was purely coincidental that I bought your painting, Bob.
Saying so, the chairwoman began to speak. She went to the art exhibition because she wanted to see my paintings. However, the chairwoman, who didn't know my name, had no idea which ones were mine. While she was looking here and there, imagining which one could be mine, she was completely drawn to one particular painting. She pointed at my painting on the table and asked the chairwoman,
Isn't this me?
Well, yes, it might be you, ma'am.
What do you mean it might be? I thought it was me at first sight.
At first, I was painting thinking of my late grandmother. But along the way, it turned out to be just like you. So I guess that painting is indeed a picture of you.
See. My heart trembled the moment I saw it. I wanted it so badly and did a lot of research. Then, when I found out it was your painting, Bob, I was impressed.
The chairwoman showed her excitement with a clap of her hands.
This is the first time I've seen such a wonderful painting, and knowing that you painted it made me really happy. Thank you.
Then, it struck me. The painting was bought for $100,000. I'm happy that you like it, but $100,000 is too much. I can't accept it.
It's your rightful reward. Take it and go abroad.
She suddenly said that,
Bob, you are talented. The $100,000 is an investment by the Taylor Group for your future. Go study more, become a fully fledged artist, and come back.
The chairwoman said this with a determined look on her face, then returned to her usual smiling old lady look and continued.
I may not look like it, but I have the ability to see through people. You will undoubtedly become a wonderful artist. The Taylor Group will always support you.
She said and reached out her right hand.
I'll be picking up cans, staying healthy, and waiting for you to come back, Bob.
I gently took the chairwoman's hand. Feeling the warmth of her hand, I realized once again that this wasn't a dream. After that, I graduated from college and headed for France. With gratitude for the two important old ladies in my life, I boarded the plane, vowing to myself to become a fully fledged artist and return. The painting I made is carefully displayed in the chairwoman's office.